Yes, Senator Lacson, recognized.
Yes, taking into consideration the lateness of the hour, not to mention the long list of agencies whose budgets we have yet to deliberate today or this evening, my interpellation won't take long, Mr. President.
Yes.
Yeah, if the lady sponsor is willing to accept or yield to some questions, Mr. President.
Yeah, it's very welcome to answer your question.
Thank you, Mr. President. For this year's current budget or DA budget, this representation proposed a couple of amendments. These are actually institutional amendments, if I may say.
Yes.
And we did this upon the request of the DA Secretary himself, Secretary Dar. These are the National Soil Health Program in the amount of 641 million and the agripreneurship program in the amount of 489 million. Unfortunately, these two programs, the budgets, were tagged as FLR by the DBM. And I would like to ask the distinguished sponsor, how has this affected the overall performance of the department, particularly with respect to the two programs that I mentioned, Mr. President?
What do you mean by the National Soil Health Program? Is this the one that will provide fertilizer to the farmers? Is this the program?
Hindi raw po, sabi ni Secretary Dar.
What is this? Is it a research?
I should be
Kasi it's
asking you,
very
Your Honor.
detailed. No, because there are many programs in the I only study the major programs. I don't have nothing against increasing the budget of the Department of Agriculture. So if he would want to do that, I just want to clarify. Kasi we have many soil program and I just want to clarify this soil program. But anyway, you're very welcome.
The soil program is the revitalization of soils that have been depleted by overcultivation, over-fertilization, the lack of compost and organics. So lalagyan mo rin ng soil.
Kasi I know we have two programs. Oo. Kasi one program is we provide composting facilities so we can produce organic fertilizer. The farmers can produce organic fertilizer. And the other one is we used to buy fertilizer to give to the farmers. So I'm just curious kung ano yung hindi ni-release.
Iba-iba yun eh. Meron nilalagay rin na pampataba ng soil para mabuhay ulit. Meron rin composting. Meron rin meron magtatanim ng forage and grasses.
So we will work that it will be released. We are working now for this later release because they are all with the DBM and then they forward it to the Office of the President for this later release. So we will work on that. I want to assure Senator Lacson that we will work on this.
Thank you, Mr. President. I go back to my previous question. How does this affected the overall performance of the department? The tagging, FLR tagging by the Department of Budget and Management, just to highlight or underscore the importance of these two programs as far as DA is concerned, Mr. President.
As far as the performance of Philippine agriculture, we're very happy to say that we are the only sector which increased or hindi tayo negative growth. During the second quarter, agriculture increased by 0.5%, and during the third quarter, we increased by 0.7%. So hindi pa tayo nagne-negative. Lahat na ng sector nag-negative na, but we are the only one that's positive. So in spite of the challenges ng pandemic, we are in the positive.
So we can forgo. We can actually forgo
if they will give us budget, we will never forgo anything.
Yung
Kaya,
soil
ang-
po, masyadong
Okay.
importante sa amin sa norte kasi very over-cultivated at masyado ng payak yung aming lupa.
Thank you,
but
Senator
you know,
Marcos.
we asked the World Bank what you should do with the degradation of the soil, and they said compost all your waste and bring them back to the soil. So that's why I'm encouraging composting to ask the farmers to do composting, because that is organic fertilizer and that is the solution to the degradation of the soil. In fact, I was so amazed that when I went to China and we went to this plantation, and the farmer lectured on me that, you know, we don't use inorganic fertilizer. We make organic fertilizer because we want to keep our soil healthy. Yun ang sabi nila sa akin. Kaya amazed ako na yung farmer doon sa China, nile-lecturean ako about organic fertilizer. So we are really encouraging people, farmers, to produce organic fertilizer because that would solve the degradation of the soil.
The long and short of it, Mr. President, distinguished sponsor, importante po itong dalawang programa doon sa
Yeah,
department. And
Yes.
I appreciate your effort to follow up the release of this of the budgets for these two programs.
Yes, we
Thank
will
you,
do
Mr.
that.
President. I will now proceed to the other topic, the issue on the National Irrigation Administration.
Okay, so we
Yes,
transfer.
okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Yung National Irrigation Administration has an annual average appropriations of 38 billion from 2017 to 2020. In 2021, the agency has a proposed appropriation of 31.49 billion under
Yes.
the House version, the GOV version.
Mm.
Now, unfortunately, it has been observed that the agency has displayed a pattern of delays in the implementation of its irrigation contracts doon sa mga proyekto nila, tantamount to wastage of funds, Mr. President, as shown in the audit reports for years 2017, 2018, 2019. For example, in the 2017 COA report, it was discovered that 436 irrigation contracts or projects, contracted projects with total contract cost of 11.938 billion resulted in significant delays of up to 2,558 calendar days, or equivalent to 7 years, Mr.
Yes.
President. In view of inadequate planning, this is COA speaking, Mr. President,
Yes.
and inefficient execution of surveys, investigation, and engineering design. Similarly, in the 2018 COA report, a dismal observation of 299 irrigation contracts with total cost of 20.7 billion have been tagged as delayed by up to 2,287 days or 6 years. That's calendar days, owing to the unsatisfactory performance of contractors, among others. Again, this is COA speaking. And then in 2019, yung COA report, medyo nag-improve compared to
Yes.
2017 and 2018. But they still remain appalling, Mr. President. The total number of projects involved decreased from 299 to 288 projects with contract cost of 10.103 billion pesos. Ang delays dito hanggang 3 years, 1,373 calendar days. Now, while admittedly these delays occurred before the appointment of the incumbent administrator, we'd like to know what corrective measures are being put in place to improve and avoid further delays of these projects, Mr. President.
If you ask me, because I'm not the one implementing, but if you will ask me, I would suggest that they change contractors. because that is the way they do it in public works. If you cannot deliver, then they terminate the contract and they assign another contractor. I have experienced that doing a project that didn't, the contractors did not deliver. They change contractors. Terminate yung contractor at nagpalit. So I think that's one of the ways
I
by
hope-
which they can correct this.
I hope
You know, and sometimes the DIA is not afraid to, kasi sa ibang department, pag hindi mo nagawa yung project, ibabalik mo yung ano, di ba? Ibabalik mo yung ano, pag hindi mo na-implement within, if the ano, inallow sa'yo 2 years, if you cannot implement in 2 years, then you give back the money to the treasury. But NIA, since it's a corporation, they don't give back. So they're not afraid. So that's one of the problem of NIA.
I hope NIA shares the same firmness and determination that you have, Mr. President, distinguished sponsor, and would like to hear from them through you if they
Yes.
indeed share the same sentiment as yours, Mr. President.
In fact, I have corrected some of their bad practices. Before, when I became the chair of this committee, they used to spend 50% of their budget for repair and 50% for new irrigation facilities. Then I asked the DBM, who was then Secretary Jokno during that time, what is ba the reasonable amount for repair? Sabi niya sa akin 20% daw. So from then on, ano ko sila, yung nag-transition sila. Now they're doing 70-30. We're trying to reach 80-20. So taon-taon nagbibigay sila sa akin that they do less repair but more new irrigation facilities. Kasi tayo sa private sector, pag yung repair natin more than 10%, magagalit ka na dun sa iyong manager. Sa kanila 50%. So we're trying to adapt new practices that will make them more efficient.
So how did they respond to your advice?
Yes,
Mr.
yes, they
President?
did. If you look at the budget now, it's 70-30. 70 for new facilities, 30 for repair. So you just have to watch over them to teach them how to be more efficient. So I will try to influence them that they choose better contractors so that they will perform better.
Thank you, Mr. President. But just to cite an example, a case study, if you will,
Yes.
we'll focus on the 2018 COA audit report. And this involves the 20.7 billion worth of delayed projects based on the 2018 AAR report listed dyan sa table. Medyo maliliit yung mga numero, but one of the highest aggregated contract costs is for the 5 projects of the Balog-Balog
Yes.
multipurpose project in San Jose, Tarlac, amounting to 7.77 billion or 37% of the 20.7 billion worth of delayed projects. Dung
Yeah.
kung 15 yan, 37% ng delays nandito lang sa particular project ng Balog-Balog.
Yeah.
So ito yung magandang case study na pag-aralan ng NIA for them to learn from, Mr. President. Now,
Yeah.
as a quick background, the actual construction of Balog-Balog Irrigation Canal and a dam reportedly started during the, listen to this, Mr. President, during the presidency of the late Corazon Aquino,
Yes.
1992. Hindi 1992, yung panahon niya. And this involved the construction of a 105.5 meter elevation. And this is a massive project, dam and reservoir irrigation network and drainage canals in San Jose, Tarlac. Imagine, in 1992, NIA proposed to implement the Balog-Balog project in 2 phases. Phase 1 covers an area of 12,475 hectares and mainly consisted of the construction of a diversion dam across the Bulsa River, a conveyance canal, and a siphon underneath the Tarlac River to connect the conveyance canal to the existing Tarlac River irrigation system, main canal or TARIS. Noong May 2015, yung Balog-Balog Multipurpose Dam Project, Phase 2, was approved by NEDA. This involved the construction of new irrigation service for about 21,935 hectares and stabilization of water supply to the currently irrigated areas of 12,475 hectares developed under BBMP Phase 1. Now, yung Balog-Balog Multipurpose Project Phase 2 was implemented in May 2015, as I mentioned earlier, and was originally expected to be finished in 2018 with the total cost peg at 13.37 billion pesos. Now, tinignan namin yung data from the General Appropriations Acts for the years 2015, 2016, 2017, 2019, and 2020. The total appropriations for the BBMP hanggang 2020 amount to 7 billion, at least 7 billion. While it received no appropriation in 2018, sa 2021, meron itong proposed appropriation for the said project na 500 million pesos. Now my question is, considering the track record of the construction delays and other issues involved, what can 500 million pesos accomplish to contribute to the completion of the project in 2021, Mr. President?
I think this project is multi-year and it started during the time of President Aquino, and it's in Tarlac. So I think this is his favorite project. Yeah. But if you will notice, the allocation in Dagaa, malaki ng time ni President Aquino, di ba? 5 billion, 3 billion from 2015 to 2016. If you would ask me, since this is from Tarlac, I think President Aquino should have finished it during his term. Kasi after that, ang liliit na ng allocation eh. Oh. And marami silang sinasabing reason, conflict with the cropping season, due to pandemic, ito pa mga causes unworkable site due to bad weather conditions, flooding and water delivery, unresolved right-of-way, farming schedule and standing crops, insurgency, poor performance of contractors, poor project planning, supervision, monitoring, late release of funds. So, ang dami ng reason But I guess this is part of the government bureaucracy. And the only thing I can promise our Senator Lacson is that from now on, I will monitor this so we will do a better job in the future. But
thank you, Mr. President.
Kung ako si President Aquino, tinapos ko na to nung time niya para wala nang problema Kasi siyempre, pag presidente ka, mas matatakot sa'yo. Ngayon kasi, wala na. Dahan-dahan.
May I repeat my question, Mr. President? What can 500 million do considering the track record for the past several years? The point I'm trying to drive at, Mr. President, is yung 500 million is too small an amount, considering yung delays and the billions of pesos poured into the project in the past several years, during the past several years. And now, in 2021, we're proposing to appropriate a measly sum of 500 million pesos. So my question is, what could 500 million pesos do to contribute to the completion of the project, Mr. President? Kasi kung wala, at the proper time, I will just propose to delete altogether the 500 million pesos. Kung wala rin naman magagawa yung 500 million, ilagay na lang natin sa ibang proyekto, maybe within DA or sa ibang ahensya na mas nangangailangan ng pondo. Kung wala rin may contribute yung 500 million, Mr. President.
Ako naman, Mr. President, kesa naman ipara ang project, hindi natin alam kung nasaan yung project ngayon. Kahit na 500 million yan, basta continuing lang every year, okay na rin sa akin yon. And if the local government of Tarlac will supervise this better, I think it will be better. Ako nga, yung aking river drive, ginawa ko sa Las Piñas, hanggang ngayon ginagawa ko pa 9 years na. But I'm very happy because 24 kilometers na. Kahit maliit lang dinadagdag every year, but if it will be finished, then it will be good. Kailangan lang talaga may magtututok kasi pag hindi mo tututukan, sobra bagal talaga.
Can we hear the view of the NIA administrator in this regard,
Yeah.
Mr. President?
We
Anong
can
kayang
call
gawin
him
ng 500 million? Kung malaking tulong ba, minimal yung tulong o walang tulong at all? Kasi kung hindi rin magagamit, as I said, lagi na lang natin sa mas maayos na proyekto, Mr. President.
I want to answer that kasi it's a series of 18 smaller dams. So, kahit konti yan, may unti-unti natatapos yung dam. Diba? Kasi hindi naman this is not one big dam. It's a series of 18 smaller dam. So, kung magagawa nila na one dam at a time, kasi it will cover, I think, 9 towns in Tarlac. It's not in one place only. It will cover a lot of towns in Tarlac. So, I think kahit maliit lang ang ibigay, basta tuloy-tuloy at efficient ang gagawa, I think this will be a good project. At nakakahiya naman kay President Aquino kung hindi na natin tapusin to dahil hindi na siya presidente.
Sige nga, pakitext mo nga.
Hindi ako nadidinig.
Sinasabihan ko po yung inyong staff na pakitext sa inyo yung idea o yung opinion ng NIA because they're discussing right now.
Of course, they want to continue the work.
Okay. Moving on, Mr. President, Madam Chairman, can you provide us the list of the 15 contracts or projects which incurred negative slippages? Kasi yung slippages po nito napakalaki ha.
Yeah.
I will show later.
Okay. We will provide you that. We will make a report. We will ask the NIA to make a report to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, last year, na-feature po itong Balog-Balog. Ginawang parang 5-part series or documentary ni Mr. Ted Filon sa kanyang programa. So ako, I became interested. That was in 2019. And just to check on the status of the project, yung implementation, I sent a team to the site, to visit the site.
Yes.
Ito po yung kanilang findings. And we compared the status of the construction or implementation way back in September 2019 and what they discovered only this month, November. I think it was November 16, 2020 when they visited the site. Ayun po yung comparison. Parang halos walang nangyari.
So, may I request you that I will just file a resolution to do a hearing on this, special hearing on this in the Senate after our budget so that we can correct whatever they're doing there. Kasi hindi naman natin siya masolve ngayon kasi this is just an interpellation in the budget. But I'm going to do a hearing on this. Maybe the good senator can file a resolution and then I will do a hearing on this so that they can answer. They will be there to answer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad to hear that so we can get to the bottom of the problem,
Yes,
Mr. President.
Yes. And any other project which you want to include so that kasi pag nag-hearing tayo, nagiging more alert sila at ginagawa nila trabaho nila. Pero pag hindi mo hini-hearing, bumabagal lalo. Di ba?
Tama po yun. In fact, yung original target completion nito, June 2020, na-revise to January 2021, and later further revised to June 2021. Now, following the date of its implementation, it is undergoing construction for 3 years with only 29.56% completion compared to 93.56 planned accomplishment. Maganda yung plano pero yung actual na completion nasa 29.5% lamang. So this gives us an idea of how glaring yung negative slippage is at 64.03%, Mr. President.
Okay. Mr. President, there is a comment here from NIA. Sabi nila, they will provide the report daw next week. Terminated na yun daw contractor na nakausap ni Ted Filon. There will be a joint inventory for the actual accomplishment of the previous contractor. So we will go on a hearing then para mas maliwanag.
Yes, Mr. President. And I'm also glad to hear that NIA has taken some positive steps to resolve this issue. So I will not anymore prolong the my interpellation, because, as I said, medyo abutin na naman tayo ng hating gabi tonight. So with that, Mr. President, I would like to thank the distinguished sponsor for her patience in answering our questions. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, distinguished sponsor.
Marami ring salamat sa iyo, Senator Lacson, and rest assured that we will look into this. You file resolution and we will do a hearing on this. Thank you very much.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the list, although